Hey, YouTube, jamespfp. I'm back for another stream. Gotta turn on a kettle before I get into the deepness of the stream today. Got it over here at the microphone. Shouldn't touch the camera here. I think it's pretty good where it is. I'm going to relocate the mic a little. So the plan here for today is I'm going to be continuing what I started this morning, last night and this morning, in Blender, which is to move from what was occurring, how to put this, the stuff that was happening in the clip editor, which was mostly motion stabilization, and going into the 3D part of the program, and using 3D to create a map, a top-down map, which I'll then stick information to based on the timing of the clips that are at play inside of the actual videos that are being used. So I get some of the software loaded here now. This is Blender loading on startup. This is the version that I'm using. This file at the top. This gives me like a recent used videos. I have my defaults. I try to keep this somewhere in the top menu. Anytime I want to start a new project, I use my defaults to start from. Most of the YouTube settings and stuff are in there. And I need to resize the window. I'm going to do that before I load anything, so it's got the least memory being applied or used. Oh, I forgot to get the screencast keys thing working either. I'll look that up later. And this is what we've got as of this morning. What we've got, what I've got, what everybody will have sooner or later. In orthographic view, I'm looking top down here and I'm using my keypad. Keypad 7 to look top down, keypad 1 to look front. It's labeled also up in the top corner here. Keypad 3 to look from the side view, the right side. But if I go to perspective, that remains the same. You can see though now that we have like perspective lines being drawn and angles are being maintained or drawn like foreshortening. So you get a sense of streets running parallel or whatever. And all I've been doing is I take a small section of the OpenStreetMap program that I use to get this image to draw from. And I've been adding in blocks one at a time and figuring, well, some of these buildings might have elevations I could use or want to do. For example, I took a little extra time in the last stream to carefully map this one, because we're probably going to want it. If they do anything in 3D, this would be an important one. These here have got a bunch of little buildings inside of these block footprints, so I just gave it a basic block footprint for some spots, and then things like this, which are convoluted group of buildings with a courtyard in the inside, I did those separate. I could still do this part. There's an alleyway there too, which I've practically drawn over, which I can fix that in another. Well, I'll fix that next, perhaps, seeing as my eye is drawn to it right away. And I've been thinking too, these parking areas are going to need to be designated. Some of them, well, I mean, perhaps what I'll do is I'll do this in Blender by when I get ready to create what's called the various materials for these things. Some of the materials, like the roadway, would be a specific material, and parking lot could be therefore a material to give it a specific color on the map, much like the legend here. The legend, the rumor, the material. I'm making sure that I didn't do this before I started either. Making sure that Open Broadcaster has all the right windows selected for this, that, and the other thing. For example, I have VLC loaded. It doesn't see it. Be right back. So yeah, I had a kettle boiling in the background I had to tend to. And as soon as I'm not using any kind of green screen behind me today, I don't really need to have the camera effects going. Although I can do a light one of those too. I should show this off. If I put a recolor on the screen, I can still pretty much get the effect I wanted. Add the scan lines. Then it's see-through as well, so you can at least have a peek through me from time to time and tell. But you can also see that there's a crap ton of noise on this filter, which I put on the front to get the scan lines thing going. It's nice to get rid of the blue overlap though, or the stuff here. And it looks like I got a blue screen. Never mind. Is that the real thing, or just the overlay here? Yeah, that's the real thing. So I was thinking about doing something with this, where we're probably going to want some of this this building. Ford's going to walk past this, so's Reb. I guess Rebel must have been set up somewhere in like here or right here, where they were doing that little drone workup. Here's the object. It's basically a plane. Again, if I go into perspective mode and we'll look down at it specifically, it's a plane. And it has a face and everything on top. If I go here, yeah, maybe it'd be a better way of showing this, but yeah, there is. If I go here, you can see it's shaded in to say that it thinks of this as roof. All of this is roof. Perhaps it's a good way of looking at it, even though it's a plane, right? That's the inside, and it has a surface to it. So if I go here now, even if I rotate closer so that it's almost like we, from the view we're in, are looking at it from the road, and then I use shift in my mouse wheel to get really close to the plane itself. rotate back this way maybe, or perhaps come over this way. If I hit the E key to extrude from these points and lock it to the Z location so it goes straight up, I now get the sense of the walls of the building, right? I can figure out how high each or any given wall would have to be. And now when I leave this and go into perspective mode, that's exactly what we get. There's like a 3D representation now of the building. But it's really a bunch of different buildings, and there's an alleyway between this one and these here. And these might all be different heights. So how am I going to be able to do that? How am I going to be able to keep that straight? That's what I'm thinking about. And the way to do that, I've just added these vertices. I can X, delete the vertices, get the old plane back. The way to do that is to spend a little bit of time figuring where some of these lines are common or not. Well, you can see them through the map, right? There's a line, there, there, and that's an alleyway. So what I'll do is I'll make this alleyway by adding in maybe one or two little points and get this building back separate, but I'll still have this all as one. This will still be considered, even though it's disconnected pieces, as one entity. It's all on this block still. Pretty sure if I delete this edge, X edge, yeah, the whole face goes away. So I have to re-add the face anyhow. I see why I did it there now, because there is like a weird aspect to the. So what I'm doing is right click to select the point, moving it here, over here. And this one, I'm going to take a chance, goes all the way out here. So this edge, also kind of useless. There's a little restaurant in the front building. I get it. I get it. And there's like a bank in here, and then a restaurant or something, or what? And there's a free speech wall outside of the city hall. Here's an interesting one. I got these two vertices, one next to the other. I could delete one of the vertices right now and get rid of it and just draw this one again with F, which connects this one. And now if I hit L, I get linked. Oh wait, now maybe it's Shift L. Mesh, select. Control L. Control L gives me the linked. Whatever ones are sharing an edge or have a face in common. So now if I hit F, I get the face on the top of that building. So that one's done. Here comes the next one. I'm holding Control to get that corner one back. Let's look at, yeah, I'm losing the corner. So maybe I should even spend the time to put one extra vertex in there. Sorry, a vertex. Again, I keep doing the same. A vertice. One vertice? No, one vertex. Two vertices. It's not vertici. It's vertices. At least that's what she said. F. This gives me this common edge, and I'll go F and fill that one. I go there and hit W for subdivide, and I get an extra one between them. G, Y to keep it on the Y plane, get it to there. Now I'm going to be a little more like that. I get an F there. This isn't quite balanced. G and Y, and then I can do that one by I. I can zoom in closer if it's necessary, if I wanted to. I'm happy to work back from the view a little bit. I'm going to do these nice and quickly. I already got some of them ready. I didn't do this in advance either. There's none along this one. This is a nice long edge. And it's also in the back side where I'm not really going to need it much. So this is the stuff on the street where I think I might need it the most. Those two, those over there, that one, that one. Is that enough to get a face? Yes, it is. That all of the linked ones is the real question there. That looks good too. Not, you can see the highlighted lines do tell us which ones are and aren't. If I was in perspective, it's even easier to see where the vertices are. Then go F and it fills in that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. F to fill it. Let's just see what happens if I control L here, because all of these are linked. Yeah, it gets them all. I think it also would be able to figure out that there's a loop of vertices. If I say select edge loop. Actually, let's try that. Select flat faces. No, no, no. Edge loops. Oh, didn't get it. Now that gets all the way around the outside edge except for here. That's kind of weird. What about, so this was, I don't know if you can see this. You can actually. This is great. Hey Hilljack, how you doing? Just noticing you're here. I'm doing a map. I'm in the middle of doing a top-down map for all the various things to show who's where and where they're looking. So I've excuse me, a still image to work from. Getting the blocks mapped out first. The roads are practically done now. I'll put in some kind of surface on that afterward. I'll do this overhead highway and stuff. And I'm putting in a little bit of the details on individual buildings because I might want to go into a 3D view from time to time. If I do that now, I can at least get a basic idea. So if that answers your question, how about you? And perspective, I'm getting perspective with keypad 5. Mesh tools, hate, Celestry, you know. Select boundary loop. No, doesn't get it either. So I'm better off just do this. Select them by hand, one at a time. Could use the circle select tool and just drag it around once too. F to get the face. So now I can put consider these all roofs and just set them at different heights. It would look like a bunch of different buildings. If they were correct or not doesn't really matter. Half day work so else gets more off. Ooh. Cool. That I can dig. I worked yesterday on, I normally try to work on the days that I label 5. So yesterday was an important day to go working. And today now consequently I don't feel any drive to go down there today even though it's a Friday. It will probably be good later on. It might be, if I worked again tonight, I might not have to work for several days. I think last night I was just going along the edge up here, getting all of those quickly. Figure I'm going to extrapolate where the corner is on that one. We're starting to get some stranger shapes on the roads though. And this one here is a clear curve, and I think I'm going to use a curved object to make the road. As opposed to like filling it all in with planes that have color. Oh yeah, and then there's this part here in the front. This is going to be interesting. Not City Hall, but down here. Like, what did they have to do with all that? I don't know. That's obviously green space or grassed area. Stands to reason I should put some of the storefronts in down here too. The parking area here needs to be clearly marked and kept. So, and the blue box area must be here. So those two parking areas are on the front. This whole block or set of blocks I'm going to need to do something for. So that's just an outline boundary. I can duplicate that and start doing the interior one, or I could start using this one and adding in points, and each block will be individual. So how about we do that? Get those two, subdivide once. Get those two, W to subdivide again. Grab those two, G and on the X, put them between where they're going to need to be. Hit S, hold Shift, scale them up so that they're at the right space. Hit G and put them on the X again. Close enough, as they say, for government work. There's an alley going in here I'm not going to bother with. I don't really need to bother with too much of this stuff either, but one here, one. We have to add a point in to get this one back. Simplest thing for me to do here is to delete this edge. X, edge, gets the edge gone. If I hit F again, I can draw it again. Then just the edge, but I lose the shaded face. At W for special subdivide. It's also over here on this menu on the side. These various things that you can or can't do. Create UVs and stuff. Oh wait, no. That's for shading or UVs. That's for calculating how those faces go. The actual surfaces where images are applied or whatever. Options. Edge select mode. Oh, now that's for doing work with the thing above here, the UVs again. Live unwrap. It's pretty cool. Grease pencil, I can show that probably before I finish this. Use grease pencil to come up with some ideas for what. Maybe that's a really good idea. I'll use grease pencil for the icons. And then you get an idea how grease pencil works. And then I get a chance to really talk about it. I think I know how it works now, because I've had a chance to get a little used to it. W for subdivide. Grab those two. W for subdivide. I'll do exactly the same as I did the last time. G to grab them, X to move them. Get them between where the 2 points are, I think. S and X to limit it to the X value. Get them close, G, X, shift them back a tiny bit. That's all one line building, eh? Ooh. This one's already got 2. And that one needs to G, move that way a bit. I've got this one selected. If I hit Control and left click, I get another point with an edge there. Select those both by holding Shift and right clicking, and then hit F. There's the first one. This one needs to go that way, that way. Get the last 2 and join them. This one goes with Control that way, that way, that way. Get the last 2, F, and join those 2, F. That's that building. That's all those buildings marked in, right? And obviously there's a level of detail I don't need to get into with many of these. I'll probably call these both the same. That one 1, that one 1. Same, different. And I'll try to get some of this area at ground level if these things come up. So this is not the most tedious type of task. It's actually half enjoyable as you're doing it, because there is at least the intellectual content of it. Like, okay, well, what's the best way? What's the best way? Hit the middle mouse button there to limit it to the X coordinate. Get that one. I'm going to think that I want one there too. So W. So yeah, there's a front there. I got it. G. So there, yeah, there's 2 buildings here. I really need another one right about here. So I got to get rid of this edge anyway. X. Ooh. How about if I delete this vertex? Yeah, how about if I delete that one too? Better. I'll put one in this way. And all I did was hit control there, but it doesn't have any kind of a linkage. I want to have a linkage. If I hit control and left click, then I get it linked in the way I wanted. There we go, common corner. That looks like it pretty much comes right back out to the street. Getting nice and close so I can see myself. Not see myself like a mirror or anything, but I mean, see what I am doing. Might be time to go talk to the optometrist. Again. That's the better way of putting it. Again. Now we get that one to there. I'm going to save myself a little bit of time here and X that edge. If I go that way, so I said I put one there, put one there, put one there, and I might as well do down to here while I'm at it. That one to there, or no, an F it, and then an F it all together. X, edge, get this one, I'm control left clicking to get this one drawn to this point. F to join it. Control left clicking, or sorry, right clicking, shift right clicking, F. Now holding control to come out to the, ooh. That was weird. Control Z. That totally extruded because I had 2 selected. Interesting. Didn't know I would do that. I don't spend a lot of time in 3D anymore, quite honest. Kind of miss it because this part, it's not like tracing, but it's fun. There's like an intellectual satisfaction to when you're, the way I find it. Or that's the way I find it. F to join that one. What did I plan to do there? That one needs something like this. F. Is there one there? No, all one big building. There's one, there's one. So that'll do for that block. No need for any huge amount of detail. Nothing much happens up here as far as the videos are concerned. I've drawn straighter lines in the past, though, I have to admit. Here I am with a computer to do the work for me. There's actually a faster way for me to do this. Shift, selecting them all. If I scale, and then on the Y, go to 0, they're all with one another. So now I can grab them and make sure that the center point, well, I need to move them on the Y. I want the Y, the center point, to be on the dark line. Now I'll rotate them to get them on the line. No excuse when you're using a ruler, is there? This one, let's get that edge out of there. X, edge. This one comes to here. I'm holding control, left click. What say we give one building, two building, in this case. Grab and putting that right in that corner. This one can stay here. I'll join that anyway with F. But I'll want to put another one subdivided in here somewhere. That one. To here. And then I'm going to want another one in here for the other side of this parking lot. And there's a sense of the building here on a corner, which I'm kind of getting, but then an access area between them, right? So click, click, all left clicks here, which gets us to this point. It gets the subdivision. Point is pretty much where we want it. Pretty much. F to join those. So I now need a second subdivision or additional point on that edge. G. That one could be better placed. There is none for the match up there though. So again, W, subdivide, get the point. Shift to select them both. And one thing I haven't been doing here like I did in the other ones is I haven't added any roofs or anything to these yet. I'm just doing all the outlines fast and considering now if I'm going to need any more detail than that or not after, but this is at least the base amount of detail which I'm conceding I will want. Subdivide once and then subdivide again right in place, and they're pretty much placed that way, right? They're almost all on the spot. I figured that way. What little they're not is close to negligible. So there's one right there, huh? None between there. W, subdivide, get the point, place it, select to there with Shift F. It's going pretty good, John. How about yourself? Friday afternoon. You guys had another busy day in London, I see on the news. Busy is an easy way of putting it. I also have some music for the background. If anyone wants to listen to music, I can offer you a choice of selection. I've got my own record. I've got a choice of selection from the evening of March 17th of this year. That's right, St. Paddy's Day. I got myself, and then I got the band that followed.
On this stage, it was an exceptionally rough event. I didn't lose any teeth or anything, but strings, hard stage on the string. First one is original. It's called the Ballad of Abel Organ, or alternatively the Old Wooden Flute.
Yeah, showing his peaceful Islam, showing his peaceful self again today. Yeah, I imagine it's not difficult to figure out who's to blame this time. It said fifth major one this year was the way I saw it reported. It was like, my goodness. Is that phone ringing? Zog, yeah. Nice and easy, nice and easy. I got blues for the second set. But yeah. Zog. I know it is. I see Aaron Netanyahu's anti-Semitic meme from like last early part of the summer. Oh, the other day, no, did not. It's a pretty loose gig, this one. You want us to find dildo? Try Trinity Bay. Shoot, can Z. This feedback on the that we're hearing there sounds like a bell ringing. F to join the line there. I love the control of the opposition. And there's an alt-right in Israel, eh? That's funny. Only apparently now we're noticing this, or? W, subdivide once. Grab, move it over. This is a local song coming up here next. This is a great little track, this one, called Pad Song. F to join the line. Going to delete this edge. Oh, shoot. X edge. W subdivide once. W subdivide again. Oh yeah, that didn't work. I want it there.
So as the years passed by, there was 3 daughters born, and no sign of a boy coming on. But your woman didn't worry, she was young, fair and strong, and she watched from her garden.
W subdivide.
It was all day and in the cross and away, hoping that the dogfish wouldn't run and curse that old wooden pond just to keep your spirit high. Your eye to the westward for the squall.
Might as well F that one too.
Now with 2 boys born coming into their own.
Or not F, but W subdivide.
Chasing a dream. And you died never knowing of the wealth that you passed on.
And F to get a line there.
For it was all and in the cross-banded way, hoping that the dogfish wouldn't run and curse that old wooden pond for to keep your spirit high and your eye to the westward for the squall.
We'll delete the edge. Ooh. Grabby. This is a St. Patrick's Day gig at a bar that's known for heavy metal. Not its regular clientele. It's a fun night though. The band that followed was really good blues. Actually, I got a couple tracks of that on my YouTube channel as well. A guy named Chris Osmond.
I'm not doing too much Who tonight. High on the list, but I was thinking perhaps I could do it differently than normal too. I'm not quite sure if it's possible.
Scale X. Grab X.
For I've been a wild rover, and many's the year.
Having a bit of fun.
Spent money on whiskey and beer. And now I'm returning with golden great store. Not never gonna play that wild rover no more. And it's no, me never isn't right up your kilt. No, they never no more. Well, I play the wild rover. No, never no more. Then I went to an alehouse where I used to frequent, and I told the landlady that my money was spent. When I asked her for credit, she answers me nay. For a custom like yours I can find any day. And it's no, nay, never in a right up your kilt. No, nay, never no more. Well, I play the wild rover.
So that looks like the front street pretty much done. Some of these being lots, some of them being buildings, right? Didn't bother with the drawing around the parking lots in this case.
So I go to my pocket and I take out sovereigns bright. Watch them landlady's eyes open wild with delight. She says we got whiskeys, we got wines of the best. And the words that I spoke, sir, they was only in jest.
And his own, nay, never.
Right up your kilt, no, they never, no more. Well, I play a wild rover, no, never, no more. So I'll go back to my parents and confess what I done. Then I'll ask them to pardon this prodigal son. And should they caress me as oft times before, I'll not never go and play that wild rover no more. And it's no, nay, never, and right up your kilt, no, nay, never, no more. Well, you play the wild rover, no, never, no more. And I say, no, nay, never, right up your kilt, no, nay, never, no more. Well, I play the wild rover, no, never, no more.
Did I put a... I don't think I did. I wonder whether or not I put a how to say this, a vertex somewhere or a face on the top of this thing. There's only one there, right? Yeah, cool.
This is by Ewan McCall. He's from Ireland. He was from Ireland, I should say. First time I heard this song, I thought actually this is a strange one because it sounds so nice, but it must belong to a play or something. Probably does. For the old ways are changing, you cannot deny. The day of the traveler is over. There's nowhere to go and there's nowhere to bide. So farewell to the life of a rover. Farewell to the tent, to the old caravan, to the tinker and gypsy and traveling man. And goodbye to your 30-foot trailer.
Just a couple of days, you found anything of note? That's a good question. I had to think about it. Actually, yeah, there was one thing in particular, and I can quickly show you. I'll pause the music for a second. Under Grassy Knoll. It's a weird thing to like be drawn to, but it does make sense that I'm drawn to it, I think. If I look at Grassy Knoll for a second here, under the base timeline. Grassy here at the bottom. I'm going to unhide it. I get rid of forward here for a second. Let's get into his video. We're only going to look at Grassy's video for a minute or two. I got this thing marked here. It's GK's relay car. Just watch this. Or listen. I had to have this pointed out to me really before I noticed it and understood it for what it is. There's no sound of horns being blown like car horns or anything, right? But listen. So are they talking about this one here in the back? Or are they talking about one up in front of the crowd? Because it sounds like it's a relayed thing. People yelling car. Sounds like it comes from behind Grassy. Passes him. So if it's this one in behind, wouldn't it be the other direction? I think they're talking about something which is behind Grassy. And that's being relayed like a mic check type deal. Listen again. There's a bunch of people yelling car. There's one person real close to him that yells car. But before the person close to him yells it, there's a few people in the vicinity yelling it. And they sound like they're not nearby and that they might be behind him a little. So it's at the same moment in time that he passes this guy taking the picture up and the girl holding the sign with her t-shirt over her belly button. This one. As he passes the one with the guitar, that's when the really loud car is yelled. That's interesting. I didn't understand that for what it might be. The moment in time that occurs is like less than a minute after the Challenger's gone through the intersection. Well, it's coming up on a minute after Challenger goes through the intersection, which is back here. That's on Ford Fisher's tape. Let's go back in time a bit. That's when Ford Fisher's tape gets the Challenger going through. That's the horn that it belongs to. So if he didn't blow the vuvuzela to warn for a car, somebody yells car maybe. But hang on a second. Let's go back to the white Camry. No sound of it on that one, no vuvuzela, but on another audio tape, like either Faith or Reb, there's a vuvuzela when the Camry goes through. Sounds further away. It sounds like it's coming. That's the camera. That's the Challenger. I got this turned up 1.5 times, so I'm going to turn it down a little. As soon as he passes the girl holding the sign, I can hear someone say car, and it sounds like it's echoing off the brickwork to his left and up around him. So it's behind him. I don't think they're yelling it from the front. I think they'll be more evident on the tape. It is just seconds later when you get to the girl with the guitar. And the crowd is already echoing it. They're already picking it up and yelling it again with like a mic check, right? And then the vuvuzelas pick it up. So I think that's the only horn you're going to indicate that there's something happening in that alleyway. But it explains to the crowd, why are we waiting? That's why they're repeating it. They're not doing it to be heads up, there's a car coming. No, no, no. They're explaining to themselves why it is that the rally is stopping. Agreed? Because that's what happens. For 1 second here, I'll turn on one other track. Just Ford Fisher's graphic. Camry. Yeah. 2 minutes is interesting. I'd rather do a 16-minute one because there's so much in the 5 or 6 videos that cover that area. Even sounds to me like someone says car after the vuvuzela horn to make it clear that's what's being relayed here. Crowd stopping. Part of the reason why the crowd needs to be told what to do. Yeah, they have short what? They do have short attention spans, and they need to be told what to do so that they don't keep pressing in from the back to the people on front, forcing them forward. The crowd needs to be kept in check, the same way that a convoy is only as fast as its slowest member. So the governance of the crowd is self-administered, right? And that's how they do it. They're passing this kind of information around from point to point. They know there's a car, or they understand. Some of them understand it, and if they don't all understand it, someone's explaining it right now. And for the purposes of understanding this, like, oh yeah, this is the other thing. I've tracked down what happened to this pro-black sign. How could it be the pro-black sign ends up behind the Camry? If she's at the back of the goddamn... She's right at the back of this whole friggin' crowd at the moment of the crash. How does her sign end up on the ground behind the Camry? Figured it out. I might do a short video on that one. So the moment of impact is when he's between the two motorbikes up here. It's within 30 seconds of everyone yelling car. So that's probably when he's reversing. The moment of impact is, yeah, somewhere along the line where they're starting to run. That was Challenger getting away there in Ford. GK gets pictures of clowns running from the scene.
Oh, you're kidding!
Yellow ladies over here. Dude here looks like he was with the Freedom Marchers, the opposite crowd. He wasn't with the Antifa crowd. Looks like he's helping. Anyhow, that's the biggest thing that it's been other people that have pointed it out, that does kind of fit it's about the only indication of audio ahead of time that there's anything changing. But the crowd itself is aware that they're stopping and they don't know why. They've been chanting for the last 5 or 10 minutes in the extended video from the Hill about how they rule the roads and they're there to, Charlottesville, we got you back, and you don't have to worry, we can go anywhere we want to. And, oh, the cops are over there, we won't go that way, but we'll go everywhere else we want to, and we won't stop. They do have short attention spans, and that's why I would like to have more than one video being displayed, but I think the map is a good idea. Not because Dora the Explorer But for lack of better terms, if I have a map to make it clear why it is we're cutting this way or that way, like when we're looking at a map display like this, looking top down on whatever it looks like, if it happens to be like a square or something, there would be some kind of an icon which would pop up, and it would be a color, would indicate which way the camera person is turning or looking, as well as which way they're moving. And when it gets to wherever they stop next, then it stops on the map. So there's a very clear visual indication of what it is you're looking at and where they are. So to help make up for the short attention span thing, I think if people feel that they get an idea of what it actually all looks like, they'll be a little more interested. I know I am. Once I understood why it was those pictures were like capable down that alleyway from up here or from over here in the parking lot. Because what's his name? Jeremiah Nupp is taking pictures from right about here in the parking garage, looking down this way. What an angle he got. 13 seconds of his GoPro is all we got, although he took all those still shots. The other guy is over here in this intersection. In fact, Gilmore's got video of the guy who gets the picture of Marcus in midair, I think. But he's taking the picture from way to hell up the road. He's like up there. I should snap that to the grid here now. Snap to grid. Cursor to grid. He ain't quite that far up the road, but he's about here. And I can also use Blender then to do a lot of calculations for math and stuff. I can show running numbers for why it is that it's got to take this long for this to happen, or that if the Challenger goes from here all the way up to this turn and comes back this way before coming down on 4th, then it's like 1.5 kilometers. And it's only 1 kilometer. Can you make a kilometer in 5 minutes? In a car or without a car? It's join the dots pretty much, yeah. But I'd like to have some kind of, visual indication on the map. This is where it is. This is the cameraman's location plus where they're pointing. So that the information you're actually looking at in the picture is a little more sensible. Maybe even put like a colored outline around the picture. If it's the red one, it's forward, and forward is there as the red pin on the map. And then the red outline on the video is forward. That makes some kind of like visual sense too. It's not just the dots, like it's the mental associations, so that when you're looking at some images are weird. Here's another example. This next one's forced me to consider I'm going to have to think about the audio much differently, especially in the intersection. Just cursor to grid again. I'm going to change my over to forward. Over to this one. I'm going to turn these on again. Turn on faith. Turn on the reb. Moment of impact. The way that it works out, like Faith must be standing probably within 1 or 2 people of where Rebel is. Rebel must be behind her left shoulder, maybe a little bit over this way, because he's taking pictures of the minivan. Rebel clearly hears her with his microphone on his camera. It's not clearly, but it's clear enough so that they must be front and back, right? But as soon as the accident is over or is occurring, just how close they are is pretty neatly evident in the way that the 2 images are currently aligned on the screen. Swatch. So she's like parallel to the Camry. He's behind. I've been trying to get the sync there be dead on, but when they're rolling, the camera gets pushed past her and then next to him, right? So you do see, like, almost stereoscopically what happens right in front of you. You practically between the 2 of them. Those little moments would make a great video too, but I think the context to get to that point You need to see just how lucky we are to be able to say, like, Christ, talk about right moment, right time, right? The coincidences can only go so far, and calculating what the chances or odds are after the fact don't make any sense. You can't really do that, as some would say. Now, both of these videos have added frames, right? That's part of the reason why I think there's a disagreement as to like little things like that. But in the audio record, they're solid. Someone was saying there yesterday, you can see Heather in Rebel, not so much in Faith. Because moment of, right? The thing is I might want to do some more color. I've been looking at some of this stuff by recoloring it too, and it doesn't tell a more accurate story to change the colors or to rebalance the colors to make it look pretty. But it does make it easier to understand what you're looking at sometimes when there's like a clearness of a sharpness of picture for specific people. There's no way we're going to be able to see Heather in this one. She's over here like in front of the tundra, flying off toward the wall. But in this one, it's possible. Over here. Black out the non-players. That could be done too. If you can figure out who are players and who are not, that's the point. Like some of the people that are players, I think, are ones who are clearly marked, but they're not marked clearly. Like the medics that are with the Antifa rally, they're clearly players, but they're playing along with a small bit role. They're not aware of how it fits into the larger one, right? The lady in yellow is clearly a player. She's not wearing any mark identifying what she is other than this yellow shirt, which everybody has, whether they like it or not. Their brains are going to be drawn to because it's simply yellow. She's a player, but she doesn't say what team she's playing for. She's well connected, but probably doesn't even understand how well connected she is. Story of a guy who took the pick down the street. Was that the one that was up in the Marcus airborne shot? Like it, WTVR. Crash and burn, crash and burn. Like some saving. rattling away to myself the last 5 minutes thinking that the audio was still working. My bad. Everything back? I think everything should be back. Audio restored. Didn't lose video for very long at all. Audio, on the other hand. I was indicating on the map here, do you think it would have been hard for an out-of-towner from the last time that he was spotted by Ford to have figured out how to get back to where he'd been to attack? Because it's left turn, and the distance 1.3 kilometers. And this is an elevated road, right? Sure is a question for the general question for the chat when it comes to theories or things to consider here. Yeah, the link had spaces, I think, was what messed it all up. Caused the memory error and the difference in one side and the other. Very funny. Linux likes to use, what is it, percent signs and stuff for that. All over the place. So, what else do I need to do down here for this little block? Water Street Center I kept separate here. I guess I could like add in some more of the detail down here, but it's not really necessary since there's no use of me. I'm not ever going to go down there on any map. So it's only things which are close to the route or anywhere close to the accident scene that I'm most interested in putting detail on. That's mostly everything I've just done. Don't intend to follow the Challenger anytime soon. That's a parking garage. That must be one parking area over here. Parking areas in Charlottesville. Have a look at that. I guess the darkness of the P shows the density. Yeah. Darkness of the P to show the density. Ooh, excellent. Yeah. We have a peek at that actually. 1.3 kilometers. It's I'm trying to think now. 1 mile is about 2 kilometers. And I've worked that out before. I passed by in front of him. He backed up the hill, passed by in front of him. He was a road for me, 10:56. He was on the road for maybe 10, 15 seconds. I moved over to the sidewalk, and then he came barreling down. I was on the road. He passed him by. The photographer passes in front of him, taking his time. He says it takes him 10 or 15 seconds to cross the road or something. Whoosh, he goes down again. Okay, Hilljack, thank you. What do you mean doesn't make sense? What doesn't make sense? He moved over to the sidewalk. What part of the road was he on? He wasn't on Main Street on the mall roadway. He was down. Gilmore has him down on the street. Gilmore puts him right in the middle of the road after after the car came barreling down at full speed. No, not at full speed. Granted, he wasn't at full speed. What am I looking for? I need to go to another one here. This is Gilmore. There's your photographer. He's one of the few people not wearing a backpack. He's wearing a backpack too, yeah? Yeah, he's in Gilmore. Just watch. First time. That's after the car's gone by. And the car gets ready to reverse. Gilmore turns in advance of the car getting to him, right? Right now. So when he does, he turns slow and keeps the camera higher. And there he is. He's still shooting. So he's close to the corner, but down from the corner a bit, because there's like the black and white peg coat, like the corner peg. I don't know what else to call that. But there's one of those at every part of the corner. It's kind of where you can measure for the start point of the video too. But he's right there in the intersection, down from. So he had to have been up here somewhere when he talks about crossing the road and taking 10 or 15 seconds, I think he means he was going this way. I think he was up here somewhere. So the car backs in front of him and he passes in front of the car as the car is like reversing away from him to go up the hill. The car stops after he crosses in front of him, goes down the hill faster. He turns around, gets the shot, and then the car reverses away. Yeah, right? Same for Faith. He got the wrong shot. He was in the wrong place. But I think that must be him. Is that him again? No, that's not him. Is he over on the sidewalk now? You can see the Challenger coming. Let's go back 10 frames at a time. And then blue shirt dude. Yeah, it was his last day anyway. It wasn't because he got fired. He was already, he'd already turned him in or something, wasn't it? It's supposed to be, yeah. Right, I remember that. I remember that part of the story now. Like Gilmore doesn't even get his shadow or his feet there, look. That's up to the moment of the impact. So he has to be behind Gilmore off to his right anyway in order to get the length. Gilmore can kind of replicate the shot too, the camera angle. He's on the opposite side of the street. He would have to be over on the other side to get the exact angle. But he does get underneath the overpass looking as if it's sky. and he does get yellow signs. This is from what Gilmore posted to Twitter, straight off the Twitter feed. That's not protest signs. But there's no way that skyline over there, that rectangle, it's not that, it's the road. The road looks like sky when it's got so much light reflecting off of it under that light condition, right? I'm going to have to go look at Joe La. It's even more clear there. And no sign of the parking garage when you're down that far, right? This brick wall is where it's cut off at all. If it's cut, you can't really see around the corner from that. But that's one of the yellow signs down this way, right? Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Right? That's a turn sign? I never saw that until I looked yesterday, and I really looked. And then I realized, yeah, you can get the same shot from the opposite angle if you had the right long lens. So there's not so much photoshopping in what the physical picture is. It's how do you replicate the light to get that actual, like, other real, unworldly quality to everything being in midair. You gotta have a really fast shutter speed. You gotta have a really small aperture. You gotta have a big lens, like a long lens. And then afterward, you got to change the coloration to allow for the gray, so the color of the car starts to change. It's just because you're highlighting different colors, and basically in the mid-tones are becoming lighter or darker when they shouldn't. So that was a bit of a, I had to get my head around that part, I have to admit. But it is there. And then, yeah, the photographer himself. So he explains the angle, explains why he's shooting that way. Kind of tells us how big a camera he was using and how long the lens is. And he had a few seconds to think about what he had to do, so could it be done? Yeah, I think so. How fast does this camera boot up, and how soon did he really turn it on? I'd like to know. He's not using any special kind of shield either. Not obviously, just the lens itself. And he's shooting directly into sunlight. Look at the shadow. I mean, not directly at the sun, but into the angle where the sun's shining from. Incredible. Dust, it needs to be a really, really small aperture, or it's going to get too much light. So that did, I have to admit, that pretty much pleased me when it came to the whole question of, is that shot photoshopped? Yeah, it's photoshopped, but not for adding elements in, perhaps. There might be some stuff added. The light was the major issue that needed to be fixed. And there is evidence in the picture, too, that it's done that way. You look at the levels curve, you can see it. Because it's cropped off, like what is it called? Clips. It clips to one end of the scale, so it looks like it's already been fixed once. So I could probably demonstrate that quickly here. Everybody still around? Or is my stream giving issues? Says going good. Doesn't seem to be dropping any frames now. Great. Got a map to finish. Got a grease pencil to do it with. Got to get a cup of tea. Because I've had it brewing for a while. I got a bit of music for the background. This is me playing live downtown Patrick's Day. Oh. But it ain't gonna work unless I turn it off. Start it again. There was a problem there. That was a big mistake.
I was like, so now at 5 buses, 3 of them held out one. Makes my heart ache just think about it. For the old ways are passing, they soon will be gone. And these days a man may not donder. There's a bylaw to say you must be on your way. There's another to say you can't wander. Ooh, that's a sweet song. Makes my heart ache just think about it. Fuck the EU, love. Anyway, they got it wrong, boys. That's why them gypsies went away. Speaking of gypsies, I wrote this song last week after I was on this stage. It's a brand new song. I haven't played it anywhere. So if I can get through this without messing it up, it'll actually be a bit of a trick. It's called Zigzag Strings. And when I wrote it, I got to use my fingers to play it because that's the only way I think I'm going to get it right. Inspiration for this song, I found it down here at this bar. Everything in the song was I experienced at this bar, and then I got one fact off the internet which I didn't need to check too deeply. All to do with this first line. Cause there's loads of Gewehr rifles laying round in piles. Bunkers on the top of the hill where you can see them coming for miles, and that don't sound so bad. Yeah, them was the words I had. That's true, it was.
I have no idea about that one.
Then I figured out what I could do in order.
I don't know what to say about that other than.
I'd move to Switzerland, join the Gewehr, maybe the Landsturm instead.
Very good question, but does anyone even know what his line is going to be when it comes to defense yet? Or does he have to make? When does he have to start filing like what his claim and stuff's going to be? I don't know if he's going to look at things like this, or if he's going to be looking to plea that there's enough evidence out there anyway. You might be able to find enough eyewitnesses, what I mean to say. So if it doesn't come down to video or whatever. The one I'm going to be interested in seeing if there's any like response back from is the minivan driver, really. Because however culpable or not Fields happens to be, what happened wasn't possible unless the van stopped there too. I'm going to try to say that the van saved lives. So that's kind of what I think. Right now, the official story is sucking or hurting the most on the fact that the record is not reflecting what video evidence does say. So I expect people that support the van driver, the minivan driver, they're probably going to be watching to see if there's any pink, like fingers pointed, or if it's merely, oh yeah, look, you can see her here, you can see her here. Murder 2 has to prove intent, exactly. So there's murder 1, murder 2, and then manslaughter for all other cases, right? I think the intent is kind of proved by the fact he goes through the intersection the second time. Listen, I had this one presented to me in school, in university. This was in a course not in law, but in sociology. The professor is a really good guy, real good professor. Wrote a text that was used for profiling serial killers and mass murderers, and he could distinguish between the two of them. He could clearly line out why, but that's beside the point. He put it to the class once like this. He said he wanted us to consider if it's, and in Canadian terms, it's first degree, second degree manslaughter. So murder 1, murder 2, right? He said to us, he set up the situation as this. Man goes into a bar, any bar, doesn't matter where. He goes into the bar, sits down inside the bar. It doesn't matter what happens inside the bar. Has a few drinks, perhaps does or doesn't have words with anybody in the bar. Doesn't matter. Goes back to his car. Maybe he does have words with somebody at the bar, right? Goes back to his car where he has a shotgun on a rack in the back of his car, or his pickup truck, say. Takes his shotgun, goes back to the door of the bar, doesn't even go in the door of the bar, kicks the door open, fires blindly into the bar, goes back to the truck. What is it? And the class is like trying to wrap their heads around what that is. And I didn't guess right. I didn't get the right idea. And then he goes, it's murder 1. He clearly had premeditated the idea to go back and get the gun. It doesn't matter who he shoots at. It doesn't matter if he has a specific individual in mind. His intention is clear when he goes back and to get the gun and fire. That's murder 1. That's the way he put it to us, right? The intent is pretty clear. I think he's clear when he goes through the intersection the second time at speed. So the next question is, what's the intention? Is the intention to physically assault specific individuals in the crowd, or the crowd as a unit? Or is it like he's trying to play some form of chicken with them? I got no better way of describing it than that. If he's engaging in some kind of a power struggle or a power play, and he feels strong, no, it doesn't matter what he feels, and he considers himself safe inside the car. He thinks that the offset between the crowd as a crowd and him as in the vehicle at speed, similar to having a weapon, right? Then perhaps as some kind of chicken, he doesn't really intend to hurt them, but that is a threat of force, one way or the other. If the thing normally with chicken is the same with a duel. If two individuals agree to engage in a duel, is there a crime? Not really. If either of the two get killed as a result of the duel, is it murder? No, it's not. You can't really call that murder in the same sense that, even though it is a killing, they agreed and kind of waived the right to call it murder when they engaged in a duel. So, is his intent clear when he goes through the intersection a second time at speed? Yes, I think it is. Maybe that is murder too, but he doesn't need to have a specific target for that, right? Maybe I'm wrong. If you're in physical danger, yeah. Sure, and he's surrounded by people who are armed, and when the car isn't moving, it isn't nearly as safe as it is when it's moving. The car at speed is a safe place until you lose control of it. Slow car, stationary car is a target. Or an improvised explosive device. Oh, I think he knew the Camry was there, but the Camry acts differently as it goes through the intersection. The Camry goes through the intersection way slower than the Challenger. Much, much slower. Let me demonstrate. Allow me to demonstrate. I'm going to load the Ford Fisher Supercut. I'll load this separately so I don't have the crash blender doing it. I call this the Supercut because it's got all of the specific things done to it that I need done if I wanted to use it for example purposes. Dude gets past us, right? When he gets past us, that's when the camera goes there. Okay? Look how slow the camera is. And then the amount of time it takes for the Challenger to catch up. So the Challenger's uphill, coming down the hill. Should see the Camry. Camry's going slower because there's people there. So the amount of time between them is the only question. Does the Camry have enough time to make the bottom and be surrounded by crowd before the Challenger is turned onto the road and going down over the hill slower than it is the second time? And the way I figure it, it's going about half the speed there that it's going the second time. If I think that the first time it's doing 50 kilometers an hour, I think that time it's doing less than 30. And the Camry even slower. At least in this part of the intersection. Got me? I don't think any of them expected the Camry there. I think the Challenger, whoever happens to be driving it, I think the Challenger expects the Tundra at the corner, at the intersection. Although he'd seen the red van. I guess he couldn't see the red van there either. Maybe he drove past and the red van wasn't there. Maybe when he drove past, the red van had still not gotten there. He thought, no roadblock. But the roadblock will be at the top of the hill, not at the bottom. He's not local boy. He doesn't know that. He thinks, no roadblock. Goes around, comes back. When he gets back there, any roadblock that's supposed to be there is... Maybe that's more like it. I don't think the Camry is supposed to be there. I think the Camry blundered in there. And there's no way to actually prevent it. So, if the roadblock had been at the top of the hill, there'd been none of this. None of that would have happened. Funny, right? That's why I do the entire thing. If the roadblock had been at the top of the hill at the end of the day, I think that's kind of evident. I'm not big on government. I'm not big on top-down government control or there's the rules. You got to follow the rules. No, I think sensible people act sensibly, can act sensibly. That's what I think. And one of the things is sensible is that a one-way street doesn't get blocked at the bottom. It gets blocked at the top. If you block it at the bottom, you're going to hold up the pedestrians that are using it. Anything that's going counter to the flow of traffic is going to be held up from that point, or anything in flow of traffic. So now 4th Street turns into a bloody parking lot. Yeah, that's the language working in my favor there. A bloody parking lot. So I've been putting off doing this over here. But now that the outside edge is done, I'll grab this block. Shift D to duplicate it. We're doing a top-down map. I'm thinking a map is probably the best way of reaching a large audience with a bunch of different... where there's a bunch of different all these different video sources from different points of view. It would make more sense to more people if there was only a minimal amount of additional information to make it clear what it is you're looking at and where. And it is so very little information, and most of it can be calculated, for lack of better terms, on the fly by like software like Blender. That's why I figure I'll take the time to do this. And I'm doing it on stream because it's, well, for one thing, it is legit content, which appeals to me. And the second thing is F to join that line there. It's not only legit content, it's also, it's a matter of my own passion or interest. So it's a bit like a business card, I guess you could say. Rather than use a business card or pay to have a business card done, I figure it's much better to work with the fait accompli model. Fait accompli, I should say. It is accomplished, therefore. And the first thing to accomplish is to make my definitive video statement on what I think the footage of Charlottesville says, especially this 16 minutes in particular seems to me to be pretty suggestive of a bunch of things. I need to put one there and add a line in here between them. There's a bit of an overlap on these two. That's okay. That 2 is 3 is 4 is 5 is 6. F, we'll do that. Whenever I finish this up, I'll make sure this is a fraction of height a little higher. One eyewitness that said they were attacking cars, the Challenger was one of them. Was his car attacked as he made that turn? It might have been. I've heard that too. It might have been, but if that's like if it got attacked or something was thrown at it, anything could have happened. Maybe he knew if he turned and made the wrong turn, he made a left turn, made the wrong turn, or when he makes the first turn, he gets attacked because there's people waiting for him. They're out on the hunt. They throw water bottles or something. He goes down into the street. He's going faster than the white one, going faster than the Camry, but he goes down in the street and realizes at the bottom of the hill there's even more of these bastards waiting. There's no way he's getting through there without dents and scratches and probably broken glass and windows and everything else. He reverses up the hill. He reverses up through the intersection a second time and then realizes, I'm getting blocked off from behind. I got no other choice but to go through it. Is that what you think? I think his intent is clear one way or the other when he goes through the intersection the second time. I can understand the rationale you're advancing. But if you need to establish that he was attacked first, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that unless I can find some more footage from Market. And be sure it is locked down to the right time. Now, granted, there's only one time that really matters here, and that's when he first turns on the fourth. You're right. If he was attacked when he first entered fourth and he was already on alert, he already realized, boy, I'm headed into a hard situation here. Right? Panic and gun it. Yeah, if you can't reverse through it, reversing up a one-way road and into traffic doesn't strike me as a good idea either. Going through it through the front makes more sense. But the crowd is not reasonable. The crowd is in a frankly destructive mood, so you catch them in the wrong mood and they will attack a car. Get hit again, panic, gun it. Yeah, he might have panicked. So it seems to me going straight through it would have been the easier way out for everybody if they had parted and let him go through or whatever, but the minivan prevented all of that. The Tundra didn't help. I think the Tundra should have been the one blocking the street. I think the Tundra should have been up at the top of that road. Up in the mall, across that intersection would have been more sense. Where those two concrete pylons are. And let anything try to barrel through a pickup truck going across those two pylons in the front. Just try it. Like, that would have made much more sense. The crowd would have been slowed to a standstill. They would have been forced to go through in like single file on either side. But weird, right? Friggin' weird, man. That's what this whole situation. The minivan bugs me. Minivan is really weird. Yeah. Yeah. I saw this animated short film once, and it was talking about how the person who had done the film had a particularly hard time growing up. And I realized that this is probably true for quite a few people. End of the day, some things are very common. I got the wrong one selected. I wanted this one. Yeah, I have to do that later. The reason why I'm looking at this twice is I do have this separated into, there's this section over here. There's this section which is shaded, and then this section which is shaded. One of these is grass, one of them isn't. So the next thing I'm going to do is to design this, or trace these pieces. I'll do these over here as well as here. Calling it design is very highfalutin. Thanks, Big Pharma. That's true. Yeah, thanks, Big Pharma. Yay, right on. It's good talking to you, Hilljack. And again, just so I'm very clear, anyone else was listening to what I was saying to Hilljack there, I think his intent is clear, Mr. Fields, or whoever's driving the Challenger. Would that make you feel better? Whoever's driving the Challenger, his intent is much more clear the second time he goes through the intersection than the first time. The intersection at Main. When he turns onto 4th from Market, I don't think his intent is to harm anybody. But when he goes through the intersection the second time, if his choice is to go straight through the crowd in front of him, then yes, his intent is clear. He might be panicking when he makes this decision, but either way, it's premeditated. Might be a bad premeditation. Very, very bad. Going to get me a little bit of a break. Not very long. Oh man, I keep hitting the wrong buttons here. I do have some better music to listen to today. That one's gone. Okay, I won't be very long. And I'll stay here until the music starts. I'm very good about that. I'm very passionate about not dead air. If I can avoid dead air, great. Avoiding the dead air, I'm all over it. This is for a Friday afternoon track. 1, 2, 3. Fernando. Many years it's been since I saw a reefer in your hand. Did you find the bomb, Fernando? that dandy little glass one you got outside of Disneyland. I can see it in your eyes. You wanna try to steal across back to your friend. No, Tommy Chong made it, man. He's not here. It was years ago, Fernando, when we met in Tijuana at a swank resort hotel. Maybe it was Acapulco. You worked the bar, Fernando. You were really well connected to the Zetas, I heard tell. And it was tattooed up and down your arms, that wide variety of chemicals you sell. It was something in the E, I think, but not the drink, Fernando. Drinking mezcal from the bottle straight, no one can wait, Fernando. Though we never thought we would run out of grass. Got a dealer who delivers, man. Guy's got a van, Fernando. Got a dealer who delivers fast, as in the past, Fernando. Are you still awake, Fernando? Would you put me in recovery position if I faint? Am I breathing right, Fernando? 'Cause I feel a little queasy from the smorgasbord we ate. And if you think that it's too early for this song, I'm here to tell you it's too late. Than Fernando. Many hours, many minutes seem to last eternity. And the firelight, Fernando, it was fucking pretty trippy once we dropped the LSD. And then the magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, don't forget the peyote. Got into the nitrous burst, my guts done burst, Fernando. Then a big old bag of coca leaves for you and me, Fernando. Though we never thought we would run out of grass. The coyotes, they got some in the truck, with any luck, Fernando. Inside 10 miles of that Churchill Square, he's got your dear Fernando. Throws a couple extra papers too in the bag for you, Fernando. If I never use my brain again, I could just go ahead and bleach my hair snow white. Say, no, 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 I don't smoke it no more.
Love you so bad till I don't know what to do. Well, I'm going down Louisiana to get me a mojo hand. I'm going down Louisiana to get me a mojo hand. I'm gonna have all you ever rich and I'm not gonna land. Oh, man, gypsy woman and she's giving me advice. I got a gypsy woman and she's giving me advice. I got a whole bag of tricks that'll keep you up all night.
Hey, loser. Black printing, white background. Interesting. Shrava.
Got my mojo and get out there. I'll try a little tune now by a Canadian group called Tragically Hip. Little song, you're gonna blow us some high dough. On the bass, Ben Dunphy, and on the drums, Brother Coin. Just gonna mention real quick the Blue Mood.
Duplication. Shifty.
Tragically Hip. Let's shot a movie once in my hometown. Everybody was in it.
Going to do this one a little differently than the other one. So I'm going to duplicate this while in edit mode. The center point will stay the same. Gives me the same block I need twice, right?
Well, I can't catch her, but I can get behind anything. Well, I can get behind anything.
I like the rocking track.
Get it out, I say get it on.
Ding, doo, 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 ba, 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 da, da, ba, da, ba. Still thinking about that. There's another guitar track to this. Ba, doo, doo. Similarly, this one can now be duplicated and put over here. We'll rotate it this way. Basically place it. I feel fine. Pretty sure that it's so you can see how I'm not getting the right corner on the back part of this building here. Do I need to put detail where I don't need detail? Not really. Especially in the back side of this street. The fronts And if this one happens to be taller than this one, that's the only thing that will really show. So it's the level of detail that I need to go to. It's going to determine how much time I waste or spend on this kind of thing. So I don't want to be here all night. Espresso machine going in the background. Same thing goes for those two. Yellow parking areas. Clearly what they are. Theobald gems and high quality footage may not have makes some shadows. Theobald Jamson. Thank you, loser. That's on YouTube, yeah? Consider it copy pasta. Cool.
Patty's Day. I didn't even see no green beer yet. What is this? God damn. It's a travesty.
It's a travesty.
Hope you guys are enjoying your St. Patty's.
Randy travesty.
It's the best drinking holiday of the year, in my opinion.
St. Patty's Day.
Single tune now we're going to try by Cream. It's not called Outside Woman Blues.
Oh, this is a great track.
Am I festive enough, guys? I don't know. I think I need some more shamrocks or something.
The video, there's video on YouTube of this guy playing on my channel. You see how much shamrocks he's got on the go. Patty's Day and all. Last thing the Tunge played is Barcodes. Not any further info as of yet, not even 4chan. Wow. Not even 4chan. That's not even my area of expertise either. I'm not in the business of looking up plates, looking up tag numbers and figuring out this, that, or the other thing. Wondering if it might be time to like send that kind of thing along to Son of Nilo. X, delete edge. Gonna grab this one. Might as well bring this one back in from the edge a little. Well, what I really want to do is to draw another one to here, here, and join this edge. Gets rid of all of the plane that was on the actual surface, which was calculated between this 4 vertices. Now there's a few more than 4 now. The thing I need to do is to start adding in the detail of this building, which I think is required. Well, anything on the front piece probably. Parking lot over the parking garage is kind of important. It'll be in the background, right? I want to subdivide this line. From that point, I can go to here, 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 and here. Get that line. This is like a level of detail I really don't much need to get into, but I am going to do it. Outside chance I want it. There it is. There's another one. This one, W, subdivide, grab this one. Oh. I'll X that. X, the vertice. The vertex. Once again, the vertex. Grab.
I think there's some original material now. Over the past couple of years, over at least a few albums.
V.
Music from each one. And a bit of new material tonight too, as well. Some stuff that you've never heard before. First, start off with one of my favorites. A little tune by, oh, it's an original actually. It's a song called Working Blues.
If my car got sideswiped twice and I saw a bunch of people getting plowed, I would at least throw my freaking window down a crack. Yeah, probably. I was saying the Hilljack beforehand. I think the Tundra would have been the better choice for a roadblock too. And it would have been better in another place than that, but maybe the Tundra was supposed to be the one at the bottom of the road. Thus the cryptic plate. So that's why it required 2 sets and it didn't come off the way they wanted it. It got messed up even if it was planned. You believe that? I think no plan survives contact with the enemy. I believe that. I believe that. So, X the edge. This one, I'm going to go down to there, get this back corner, get that corner, get that one. I can join that one now. Get this one while I'm going around. F to join that one. G to make that square-ish. I I can get my front line back by joining these two. This one needs to be subdivided twice. But if I did it twice right then, I would have got an extra one. So I don't need to subdivide one of these once more to get two. So this one needs another 2, same as the last one. Subdivide once, pick the shorter, one's closer. W, subdivide again. Shorter distance to move with mouse is what I mean, shorter. F. F there. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this one. Subdivide once, gives me 1. Subdivide again, gets me 3. Let's place 3 first. G, one there, one there. W, subdivide one more time. Even gets the right area, look. Draws all the lines. Going to the 3D mode here again. We're in perspective here now, so we're starting to see the map is actually laid out in 3D space here and in perspective to one another. Distances here can be calculated to meters or whatever. I can scale this up to actual scale, the scale required.
We're gonna try another version of this song called Blame. When I was young, I had a quick hand and a quick tongue. Life wasn't easy, but I got by.
Thinking this one's going to be one long one. Do I need to do any of this stuff in the back? Nope. This one doesn't need anything added. I got no one to blame. Reason here, this impeccable pig here in the corner, right? X, edge. Let's do 2 for the next one, 2 for the next one. Join the last and F it. And F it! F to link it. To draw the line, I mean. So, if I take those two, X the edge, and I'll go control there, down to there. Yeah. Got no one to blame. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the pig out of here. I'm gonna cut the pig out. I'm gonna make sure the pig gets its place, gets its root. Gotta use my phone for a second here. Problem is all inside your head, she said to me.
The new one I've been writing not too long ago. It's called You Weren't Ready Yet.
It's a groovy little thing. I'm gonna copy this one. I'm gonna duplicate this one. This is going to be the basis for sweet. This is going to be grass area, not a block per se, but I'm going to set it off on this gray area here. This one might actually be getting a little bit complicated by the time I'm done with it. Well, let's scale it down first. Not that the scale much matters. And I'll put it generally where I want it. This is going over here. This one over here. This one here. That one there. Needs to be subdivided once and twice. Not 3 times. That's enough. All these go to the curve. Simple. Hey, good morning, guys. I'm rebroadcasting some music from last night. This ain't me, this is somebody else. I also had to take a quickish break out and back, so I'll probably stop streaming for just a short amount of time, but I'm working my way through the map here. I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing before I go. I'm doing detail in the map, but most of the map doesn't need this kind of detail. I'm doing it so that it can be a top-down overlay in Blender, and each of the different cameramen or camera people will be shown on the map where they are, where they're located, where they're moving, which direction the camera's pointing. And this is an idea of what it'll look like if I wanted to do it in 3D. I could. Right now I'm only doing top down. There's no sense of contour on the map, right? But that could be done too. So now if I want to, for example, the parking garage is right here. If I wanted to, I could get the street level view on the go. Get a sense of what stuff looks like. Extrude on the Z. So now I got like a wall there, right? Gives me an idea what it, and if I put this in shaded, then it even gives me like that is a wall, right? And I can put a roof on it, and I got the place cut out so that the roof would have a hole, and blah blah blah. So that's what I've been doing, taking my time to get this done right the first time. Control Z. X vertices. So I'm working my way around the blocks here now. Market Street's pretty much done as far as I need it, and then the inner line for either side of Main and either side of Water is done. So I'm working my way now through the little bit of the stuff at the end here to work my way up to the intersection that we figure the Challenger takes. So I'll do this block and this block. The road is defined by default then, like automatically, just from where the blocks and stuff are. So I need to put the rail line in there too, and then define Water Street East against this boundary. I got a few ideas about how I can do this easily without a lot of fooling around. Like these curved areas, I don't need to do this with straight lines. I can do that with a curve. As I say, I'm going to take a short break, say about 20-30 minutes, and then I'll be back. Got some odds and ends to this while I was on the cell phone there a minute ago. Found a vid you should watch. Yep, taking that, copy vid, copy paste. Thanks, King B. Copy pasta. Your guitar. So that last track is available on my channel too. It's the name is Chris Osmond. Chris Osmond's Blue Mood. He ain't ready yet. See some more of my guitar, or not my guitar, my camera work in action. So yeah, Pitchforks, Flaming Torches, the Banjocast. We'll be back 20-30 minutes at most, and till then, I'm James PFP. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you very soon.